Hi, everybody. I wanted to do some quick tips on just some self-care. This is a video about self-care, some simple things you can do to kind of energize your system, especially if you're feeling like you're under stress right now. Um, there's a lot of stress in the world, and if you are an empath, and by definition, empaths are people who they take in the emotional energy of other people. So if you are somebody who is highly sensitive, or if you are an empath, uh, you may be picking up on a lot of things as you have your whole life. So you're thinking it's you, but you may be feeling some fear, some anxiety. Um, Mostly, let's just focus on fear and anxiety because those are big in the world right now. And so I wanted to do a video with a few things that will help bring you back to yourself so that you don't have to ride that fear wave that is in the atmosphere. Without going into too much detail, basically, it's like a thought form storm, and we connect with these big, they're like storm clouds that come through, and it gets activated through social media, it gets activated through through all media, the news, through people. And so what happens is we just start clustering with that thought form storm. And so when this happens, you can feel like a lot of gloom coming on. You can start to apply this to you. It triggers personal fears. It triggers feelings of inadequacy and powerlessness. Those are in the atmosphere right now. Fear about money, fear about losing money through all of the circumstances that are going on in the world right now. Fear that your body's going to let you down, fear, lots of fear. So what happens is when these thought form storms of fear come through, there are people who are just in survival, and those are the people who are stockpiling goods and so forth. I mean, it's wise to have a full larder and a pantry, as they say, but that's different than hoarding. And so when you're in survival and a survival issue comes up in the world, what happens is, depending on how conscious we are, we get triggered with our own personal fears. And a lot of people are in survival right now, or fears about survival. And so I wanted to do this video to give you some tools for self-care and how to kind of separate your energy from collective thought form storms that are fear-based, okay? I did another video recently where I described that for me, fear is it's a response that we have in our system to immediate danger. And I describe that as the bear hanging over you, ready to pounce, and you get adrenalized. You're ready. You're like, okay, I got to run. And then there's another type of fear that has to do with it's more like a thought form virus that circulates through hearsay, rumors, or actual some facts mixed in, and it's difficult to differentiate between like what's true and what's false. And so it can turn into worries for us. It just turns into like getting very anxious in our minds about what's going on. So I want to bring this back to the body with a few simple tools, and this is fun. It's Jin Shin Jitsu. This deals with the energy meridians in the body and how they correlate with our organs. And these are some simple things you can do to just feel centered, to empower, actually to bring energy to those organs and balance them. So let's get started. So the first one is palms together. Isn't that interesting? Because this is the prayer pose. So this prayer pose actually energizes your whole system. And I invite you not to take my word for it, to try it. These are just techniques I've learned through the years that I'm wanting to share. And so this one is, you just hold your palms together so that all of your fingers are touching, and you are energizing your whole body. Now you'll notice that if you've ever seen somebody like in an emergency or in distress, or if you have had a crying child who's hysterical, and you can actually do this with an adult too, but people don't usually do it. Sometimes you'll find people holding their forehead or the back of their head. Okay, right back here with our reptilian brain, with our, there you go. And so this is something that calms the brain and helps you to think clearly again. And again, if anyone's hysterical, it's hard to get close to like a 200-pound person who's hysterical. It's hard to hold them on the head. We can do it with a child, but you can also do this yourself. And sometimes you'll see, like in disaster things, when there's a photograph, you'll see people holding their head, and they're actually helping their brain become more stable and helping the cerebral cortex, helping themselves to think. So that is, these are our batteries. We are a human battery, and we can charge ourselves up. We can give ourselves energy in the places where something's stuck. And also when we're afraid, things get stuck, things short circuit, things, we become kind of, I can't think, and all the blood is not in the head. We're just, so so that's the first one. And then you can also do this, or hold the back and the front. That helps. The other thing is, I'm just looking at my notes here. Okay, yes, this finger, your pointer finger, it's also your leadership finger. It's also the finger that is connected to the kidneys and to the emotion of fear. So one thing you can do, if you're feeling like you're kind of getting triggered into fear mode, is you can this is called jumper cabling, and you just wrap your fingers around your finger, your finger, and you just hold it for a little bit. And this helps to calm a fear reaction that you're having. Isn't that cool? Or anxiety. If you're, can be anxiety. Anxiety has different sources, but this is for fear and fear response. Then also, your ring finger is related to the lungs. And the lungs, the emotion connected to the lungs is grief. And so if you feel, sometimes just when life is not giving us the roses that we thought we were going to have at the beginning of 2020, or at any other time, actually, and sometimes this is a little suppressed for us because it's covered over by anxiety or survival issues or fear. But sometimes we can feel grief when things are not coming to fruition, or we can't focus because there's this survival thing happening, or in the world, events are getting canceled, and that can bring people real grief. Grief that they don't get to share their expression in the world, like whatever it is, if they have a speaking event or a performing event, grief can come up. And maybe grief for the general state of the world is also, a lot of empaths are feeling that. I know I am. So you can jumper cable, just hold this finger to empower your lungs. Another thing that happens when when we're scared is, we kind of contract and we don't breathe deeply. We're not breathing. We're not filling our lungs. We're scared to take anything in, right? Boy, that really sounds like what's going on right now, that we're scared to take things in. We don't want to breathe in the air. You know, imagine being afraid of breathing in. And so you want to empower your lungs by jumper cabling this, and also it just feels really good. One thing you can do is all of the fingers correspond with organs. So, and I'm probably going to mess this one up. I know the little finger is heart, um, liver is the middle finger, and I'm missing out on this one. I think this might be, it might be nervous system. But anyway, we want, um, you can go through each finger and give them each a hug, you know, throughout the day, and then do your palms. Okay. And the last tool that I want to give you, besides the Jinshin Jitsu, is a very simple technique for just clearing the thought. Because a lot of this starts in, like, you'll have a thought and then it links up with other people's thoughts. And like, this is just not commonly understood yet in society, that thoughts are actually magnetic, and there are thought form storms that occur. And so I mean, have you ever noticed that when you're in a bad mood, it's that whole thing, like, I got up on the wrong side of the bed, they used to say in the 40s or whatever. And what that means is that whatever we start with snowballs. We tend to gain momentum in whatever direction we're going with our thoughts and our feelings and our emotional responses. And so that's why you want to find ways to kind of interrupt a thought and say, um, you know, that's not true for me, or is that true for me? And so one thing you can say is, you can say, you know, oh, I just had a scary thought. Who does that belong to? Return to sender. And that's just a great basic technique that you can use anytime you have what I call a contractive thought. That's going to be a thought that makes you feel bad. It's a thought that makes you feel low, heavy, depressed, like you can't do it, and it activates all these other thought forms inside of you: powerlessness, scared, I don't have any time left, I've got to worry. Those are the thought forms that are currently circulating in the collective. So I hope this was helpful. I wanted to keep this short. I just, you know, I've been kind of sorting through my thoughts in the last few days and week, wanting to offer something. I have so many tools to use for this kind of thing, for energy, and I just wanted to share this in case it's helpful for you. And go ahead and put a comment below. Feel free to share the video. I'd love it. Subscribe if you want more videos like this, of course. And if you want to get in touch with me from any of my professional services, there's a link below. Okay, happy Friday, by the way, and I will see you soon.